Hey, welcome to my second little video of Shelf Life, where I talk about books and stuff that are on my bookshelves that I think might be interesting to other people, that might be a little weird, a little creepy, a little macabre, sometimes funny, and just sort of like get you guys interested in, authors you might not have heard of, events that you didn't know about, try different styles of writing, or if you're into like a certain genre, maybe a book you hadn't thought about, something like that. So I did promise at the end of my last episode about the Eerie book, which was a little sort of compilation anthology of weird short stories and excerpts, that we would be getting into some sexy times. So what we've got here is 1971 classic, The Happy Hooker by Xaviera Hollander. So we've got this. There's a very 1971 photo there for you. And then we've also got, oh, My Life with Xaviera, The Happy Hooker by Larry the Silver Fox. And then Letters to the Happy Hooker. So this one reads a little bit sort of like semi-fan mail interspersed with racy biographical anecdotes, and also some really interesting hate mail. So she included a little bit of everything in this one. So a little bit of background about this lady, Xaviera. So this is The Happy Hooker, My Own Story. It was published in 1971. So we're going like in the way back sexual revolution machine here, okay? We're just like barely past the Summer of Love, 1969, but we're into like full sexual revolution, full feminist revolution, this sort of thing. And so, I mean, this came out at just like the right time. So one thing I also wanted to mention is we're gonna props to the Black Squirrel Cafe and Secondhand Bookstore, because I found all of these there and it was like a gold mine. So favorite secondhand shop in Ottawa for books, guys, Bank Street, Black Squirrel. Check it out. So a little background on our lady Xaviera here. So she is Dutch. Her real name is Xaviera de Vries. Hollander just basically means someone Dutch. So she sort of adopted it as kind of a pseudonym, sort of, to be a little more anonymous. And so her deal was that this is her sort of swing in life. And it's all real. Some names were changed, obviously, but it is not fiction. So this sort of goes from her, sexual awakening through her sort of sexual discovery swinging period, up to the point where she became like a professional like call girl escort, and then decided she opened her own brothel in New York City. And like we're talking, way past Heidi Fleiss levels of like, madam. So she was really well known, and unfortunately, there was a lot of like crackdown at that point as well too on, women's liberation, amoral activities, things like that. So like basically, the right, the moral upstanding right, was really trying to crack down on all this like sort of, hippie stuff, free love, sexual revolution, women not wearing bras, women having, freedom and opinions and their own businesses, things like that. So it ended up in like a really high profile arrest, and sort of raiding of her brothel. And so this is kind of the whole story from like that to the end. It was super scandalous when it came out, but I think it came out at like the perfect time. So not only is it like a titillating read, because it is, if you don't shut yourself in your bedroom for a while reading this book, there's something wrong with you. So this one that pops out My Life with Xaviera by Larry the Silver Fox. He was probably, he says, one of her longest term boyfriends. And I think they were together for maybe, I think 5 or 7 years or something like that. So pretty impressive that like she was able to stick with one partner for that long. But we're not saying it's a monogamous partnership. Oh no, not at all. So Mr. Larry the Silver Fox here, this whole book is kind of a different perspective of the, probably about the middle to the last half of The Happy Hooker, where, I mean, he's mentioned in that. But this sort of gives like a different perspective on, you know, the times they had together, the crazy parties they went to, you know, her legal troubles, things like that. But basically, like, this is Larry self-aggrandizing here, okay? Like, let's be honest. Let me read off the cover, shall you? The man who spent over 3 years living and loving with the incredible Xaviera tells how he satisfied her needs financially, emotionally, and sexually. So, I mean, this is essentially like, this book is for every man who ever wished he banged Xaviera and wanted to put himself in those shoes. So, yeah, a little silly, but still kind of an interesting, like, other perspective. And Xaviera, like, totally supported this book, you know. So, I mean, like, she wrote the intro, she wrote, you know, sort of congratulatory, like, inscriptions in the first editions and things like that. So, I mean, this wasn't like a behind the back tell-all book. Like, she, you know, this was done with her permission and her blessing, kind of thing. So, something else, this is book number 3. There are, by the way, a ton of books about and by Xaviera. So this is just a very small sample. Also, movies were made, which should surprise no one. I should probably find that one. Anyways, so this book, Letters to the Happy Hooker, is like fan mail, like I said, interspersed kind of with hate mail, with fantasy mail, and then also in between like batches of letters, she writes little, you know, anecdotes relating to certain things as well too. Again, very swinging. But one thing that Xaviera did for, I think it was like something like 10 or 15 years, was she was the editor, I believe, of the famous Penthouse Forum. So for some of y'all of a certain age, Penthouse was one of like the big adult magazines, up there with probably like Playboy and Hustler. So Playboy, Hustler, Penthouse, like those were like the big 3. And Penthouse was like pretty famous for having like a huge sort of letter forum section where people would ostensibly, people and not staff writers, would write in with like their experiences, their sexual fantasies, you know, things like that. And she sort of took care of that whole section for many years, you know, for Penthouse magazine. So this is almost kind of like Xaviera's personal Penthouse magazine forum. But it's kind of interesting, and I really like the fact that she includes like a lot of the stuff that was like not pleasant. Because I mean, she got a lot of like hate mail from people. You know, you're going to hell, like you're a sinner, like God hates you, like, you know, blah blah blah. This whole sort of thing too. And just because she's like so frank and open about everything, like she's not afraid to include that in here for, you know, kind of like a slice of life. Like this was her life as well too. I mean, it wasn't all just like, you know, swinging parties. There was other stuff as well. So currently she is still alive. I believe she is in her 80s now. And she runs a bed and breakfast in Amsterdam that I think opened in 2005 called The Happy House. Not to be confused with Susie and the Banshees, The Happy House. But yeah, so that's actually, I think it might even be in the red light district of Amsterdam. So if you're ever traveling around there and you want a little sort of slice of, you know, sexual revolution life and history and that kind of thing, go spend a night or two at the Happy House. and you might run into Xaviera. So all in all, these 3 books that founded the Black Squirrel, it's quite like a really sort of eye-opening kind of thing, because I mean, like, who really could have lived their life like that? Like, is that for real? Does one actually do these things? Like, this was legit? Like, it's just, you know, I mean, there's some slightly disturbing stuff in there. I'm not gonna lie. Things that people, you know, might have hangups about, things that might gross some people out, you know, but it's just told with such like authenticity and you know, lack of posturing and lack of bragging and things like that. It's just so very frank, and that's what I love about it the most. So yeah, dig up some happy hooker stuff there, and if you're feeling real adventurous, watch the movie. So I'm going to say bye for this time, and we're going to come back at you the next time with some murders, specifically Victorian murders. And that's going to be a whole other feminist bucket of fish. Bye.